what we're going to do, regardless of what kit you do, the starting step is the same. You've got this square, you've got water. Let me see here. So you want to look at the scratches. Some of these scratches we can get out and some we can't. The determining factor I know from before. Can you hear my nail catch on that? We're not going to get that scratch out. We could probably make it look a little better. I've done that a lot on cars I have where it's a bad scratch. I'll sand it out and buff it, and it won't look as bad. You get rid of some of that white so it doesn't stand out, but we're not going to remove it because it's down into that base coat. But if you're not feeling it, like this one will be marginal, so we'll work on this one. I might be able to get all that out. We'll see what we end up with. But basically what you want to do is you want to get this wet. So again, you want to use water. And I try to stay confined on that scratch. So I'm just sanding over and I'll stop here so we can see where it was and track it. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to sand for about 10 seconds. I don't want to sand for more than 10 seconds at a crack because the less sanding I do here, the easier the rest of it's going to be. So I'll stop there. I'll wipe it off. Again, an important picture to have in your directions for use is that, because if someone, a novice does that, they go, holy crap, what did I do? What did you just do to my car, you know? So that's where we're at now. So I wipe that off to get it dry. And what I'm looking for is I'm trying to see if I got that entire scratch out. I think there's a little bit still right in there. So I'm just going to re-wet this. I'm going to lightly sand it just a little bit more.
So you never want to put too much pressure on it?
No, I'd say kind of light to medium. And at first you can put a little more pressure on it, but once I think like here I'm just touching up a little bit, I sand it pretty light on that go around. Okay, so now I'm looking at that, and all I see is the haze from the sanding that I did. I don't see a witness mark from that scratch. Now, when I get done, maybe I will see that scratch still there, I don't know, but I'd rather polish it out than keep sanding and hammering on it and have more to do. So with this kit, it's a lot like the headlight kit pad, except it doesn't have that Velcro piece. All we're doing is a two-step polish. So we're going rubbing compound on one side. When I'm done with this, I'm just going to flip it over and take a finer polish, which is the scratch remover, and use that. All these liquids come in packets in the kit, so just so you know, everything I'm using here is in the kit. Same formulations. And basically all you're doing now is just hand rubbing that out.
If you were doing this for real, you wouldn't actually use a paper towel to rub that crap off, would you? On a real car, like on
I would on this step.
Really?
And on this step, I probably, if it was a nicer car one, I would just take a detail cloth, a microfiber.
How come you wouldn't use a microcloth for everything?
Because I know that I'm going to be doing rubbing compound.
Right.
Otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's not a bad practice to use a microfiber all the time. Yeah, it is something to think about. I just know I'm going to be rubbing it by hand with compound. So, and I can compress this foam pretty good. You can see I'm squishing it. On this step, if you haven't rubbed anything out by hand in a while, you know, it's a little more work. So you want to, don't be afraid to use too much pressure. The last group that was in here, they were doing everything right, but they just weren't pressing hard enough, both with the drill and the hand thing. So now that looks pretty good. I can see a little bit of some sanding lines, but you know, you can see I got that scratch out. And I was catching on that a little bit, so I don't know if that's transfer or scratch. But anyway, so I get to that point. If this is a white car, a silver car, that's out the door. It looks good, and you aren't going to see it. You know, on a nicer car or at the right angle, you might. So then, to follow it up, you just take that scratch remover, flip your pad over, and this is going to take out any haze.
And what grit was that again?
That was 3,000. This guy.
How do you decide what grit? Like let's say, I detail my car. So let's say that you get a scratch. I mean.